Mechanic J. Viloria, a BS Civil Engineering student from Palawan State University. For today's video, I am going to discuss to you the derivatives of a function. So, by definition, the derivatives of a function of a real variable measures the sensitivity to change of a quantity. So, the key term for this is sensitivity to change. So, the sensitivity to change of a quantity, which is a function or dependent variable, which is determined by another quantity, the independent variable. So, the dependent variable is the y value and the independent variable is the x value. For example, the derivative of the position of the moving object with respect to time is the object velocity. So, the derivative of the position of the moving object is equals to change in distance. Let's say that the distance is equals to d with respect to change in time. This is also equals to this. Change in distance with respect to change in time. So next is the process of finding the derivatives is called differentiation. So differentiation is also known as the process to find the rate of change. Next, the derivative of a function is given by the formula f prime of x is equals to the limit of f of x plus change in x minus f of x all over change in x as change in x approaches to zero. This can be read as the derivative of f of x with respect to x is equals to the limit of f of x plus change in x minus f of x all over change in x as change in x approaches to zero. There are many ways to write the derivatives of y is equals to f of x. A function f of x is equals to the derivatives in Newton form f prime of x, and in Linus form d over dx of f of x or df over dx. Then a function y in Newton form is equals to y prime, and in Linus form it is equals to d over dx of y or dy over dx. A function x squared plus 1 in Newton form, it is x squared plus 1 prime, and in Linus form, it is d over dx of x squared plus 1. So for the example, given the function y is equals to 3x squared plus 5, derive y with respect to x. Since the equation is y, the solution will become y prime is equals to the limit of f of x plus change in x minus f of x all over change in x as change in x approaches to zero. Next step is substitution. We need to substitute x plus change in x to x. So y prime is equals to the limit of 3 times x plus change in x squared plus 5 minus 3x squared plus 5 all over change in x as change in x approaches to 0. Next step is combine like terms. Y prime is equals to the limit of 3x squared plus 6x change in x plus 3 change in x squared plus 5 minus 3x squared minus 5 all over change in x as change in x approaches to 0. Next is y prime is equals to the limit of 6x change in x plus 3 change in x squared all over change in x as change in x approaches to 0. So, since the change in x is common in our numerator, pwede natin siyang ilabas. Then, y prime is equals to change in x times 6x plus 3 change in x all over change in x as change in x approaches to 0. So the change in x will be cancelled. Y prime is equals to the limit of 6x plus 3 change in x as change in x approaches to 0. So y prime is equals to 6x plus 3 times 0. So the answer is 6x. Given the function y is equals to 3x squared plus 5, the answer is y prime is equals to 6x.